Hey guys, it's Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who Classic. Last time, we finished up the final 3 parts of the Keys of Marinus. What all happened in those episodes?
Well, the best episodes, the best episode was the one in the middle at the trial. We did run into some controversy. I was complaining about the ice... what were they? They weren't ice warriors, ice knights. Anyway, the ice cave. Interesting idea, but when you leave the most important element in a block of ice and there's a convenient steam pipe that all you have to do is turn the valve and it melts. That seemed a little unusual. But it all wrapped up. The last 2 episodes were very good. The trial and then actually getting the keys back to the machine and having it do what it needed to do. But it was a lot of fun. So
yeah. This time around, we are not splitting up the serial into 2 videos, because this one's only 4 episodes. Feels like it's so long since we had a 4-episode one. This is serial number 6, The Aztecs.
Yay.
Just one straight shot, all 4 episodes in one video, which is kind of nice, because it is a little odd, sort of stopping halfway through a story and then being like, and we'll pick this up next time. So, but it is much easier to record that way.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
And it's also the Aztecs, historical fiction. This is my favorite part of Doctor Who. Going to the other planets and all that other stuff. That's fine, but I love time travel for going back into the past of the Earth. Even when they did the thing with, Jamie guiding that wasn't the Autons, was it? What was that? No, that was the Cybermen guiding their ship that was going to do an invasion, and it turned out that Jamie turned out to be the explosion that killed the dinosaurs. Adric.
Not Jamie.
Not
That's where you had me confused.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I was really trying to think, what did we have with Jamie? And it's like, no, that's Adric.
That's Adric. Sorry about that. All right. Anyway, so yeah, I do like the historical connections much better than the science fiction stuff.
Now, it's interesting because, and especially in modern Doctor Who, when they do historical stuff, there's always some sort of alien involved. That's the thing. Whereas, with what I'm assuming is going to happen in this, where it's just the Aztecs, or like we had, it was just Marco Polo, nothing really, alien or anything, but yeah, that does not happen in this one. I mean, there's an episode in modern Doctor Who where they go meet Shakespeare, and there's actual, alien witches. So, it happens.
Okay.
Yeah. I will be curious. I'm curious, where that starts to happen, where it's like, well, it's historical, but we got to throw in some sci-fi,
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I enjoyed that one. The one with the War Doctor and 10 and 11. Yeah, 10 and 11, where they went back and saw Queen Elizabeth and did this, that, and the other. So yeah, that's my favorite kind of stuff. So
yeah, and I guess that's pretty much that. I guess if that's all you got to say,
that's it.
Then we should probably get right into this episode of Doctor Who Classic.
Now, there was no lead-in from this last one, was there?
No.
The TARDIS just disappeared.
Right.
There it is, disappearing.
I guess that's all the lead-in you need.
An upside-down skull. Oh, look, Karate. This is the guy that wrote Marco Polo.
Yeah.
Cutting out people's hearts.
Oh, that was only one side to their nature. The other side was highly civilized.
Well, the Spanish didn't think so.
The Greeks used to do that
saw
too.
The
Ancient Greeks.
Sacrifice. That was the tragedy of the Aztecs.
Cut out people's hearts?
And guts.
I mean, the Egyptians did that too.
Yeah, but Egyptians did it after they were dead.
That's true.
Hey, look, cartoons! They got bubbles coming out of their mouths.
Oh yeah, the Aztecs invented gum. From the chicle tree, if I remember, which is where chiclets comes from. So just Susan and Barbara wander out of the TARDIS, and where's Ian and the Doctor?
Yeah. So they're making sure the landing gear all works.
I don't care if she is interested in them. I told her repeatedly not to go off on her own.
It's closed.
Now, Where is this door,
Here. Ah,
The snake, I wonder if that's Quetzalcoatl.
I worship the same god as you.
Then above all, honor him. He has made us rulers of the land. For this he demands blood. And he shall have it.
well, they treated us all right so far.
Well, we've got this episode's Tigana.
I do like the costumes.
Yeah.
I will say, many of the Aztecs often had more feathers than that, but yeah, the pointed headdress and the chains around their, well, not really chains, but the...
Gracious.
What on earth are you doing there?
Yes, that high priest. What was his name?
O'clock.
That's right, Orclock.
O'clock.
Ortlock. Well, he said we were the servants of the Aztecs. Is that who they think you are?
Yes. What miracle?
Presenting Barbara to the public 1 second before it rains.
By the way, did you notice in that throne room scene that there was an actual fire behind her?
We do.
No.
High priest of the temple.
I'd love to see the color pictures of this, because I bet that stripe across his mouth is blood red.
No.
It has been decided. The old man may walk abroad. You shall train to command our army.
Surely that is for Yataxa to decide.
Your Texa would not refuse so great an honor. I accept.
Come now and encounter Exter,
Who is he?
your rival to command.
Maybe shouldn't have accepted that so quickly, Ian.
Well, I mean, it's just not good for him. He's not the warrior of the group. Barbara is.
The Aztecs and the Mayans also played a ball game, kind of a cross between English football and basketball. But the difference was the team that lost got executed.
What manner of warrior is this?
Well,
Talk about your sudden death. Well, he's no John Pertwee.
gonna say, spent all the money on the costumes, they couldn't get a choreographer.
Is he to assist at the ceremony of the rain god?
Ian is as you are. A chosen warrior.
What duties must I perform at this ceremony?
I love that there's just no emotion on Ian's face. He's just like, alright,
Psyching him.
here we go again.
You will find her a companion of wit and interest. And now I beg permission to depart.
Of course.
Bet they had to rehearse those head bows and not get feathers in anybody's face.
Wow.
Oh, my dear Chesterton. This dear lady has
Yes, the
promised me to arrange
Falcon,
a meeting
Eagle,
between
Hawk, whatever mask
me-
that is. That
between,
again, this
myself
costumes
and
and
the son
sets
of
are
man
wonderful.
of the temple. If human sacrifice is essential here and it's their tradition, then let them get on with it. But for our sakes, don't interfere. Now promise me, please, promise. Now go and tell Barbara.
Ian, promise. Now I do feel bad for Ian. He has to go through all this, soldier stuff. Meanwhile, the doctor went to an Aztec retirement home.
Well, just the same.
He has to what?
Yes, they've made him a warrior, and he's promised me not to interfere with the sacrifice.
Well, they've made me a goddess. And I forbid it.
Barbara, no.
There'll be no sacrifice this afternoon, Doctor. Or ever again. If I could start the destruction of everything that's evil here, then everything that is good would survive when Cortez lands.
But you can't rewrite history. Not one line.
Barbara, the high priest is coming.
She should know that.
Barbara, one last appeal. What you are trying to do is utterly impossible. I know. Believe me, I know.
I like this is the first time they're really getting into, the rules of time travel.
There's a wonderful Aztec painting that literally looks just like that. You see the guy draped over it, and they are literally just digging his heart out.
Grandfather?
Well, that didn't work.
Or it did.
It didn't work for her.
No.
This is a false goddess! And I shall destroy her.
Bit melodramatic. But it's perfect for what they're doing. Again, I like this Lucarati guy. I mean, he apparently knows his stuff. You know, I'd love to look into his background a little bit, find out what his historical background is.
Well, I mean, he's definitely more overdramatic than Tegana was in Marco Polo.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, definitely. And I do like going into the rules of time travel. Like, you can't try to really screw up history like this. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess we ought to hop into part 2.
What about you and Ian?
Well, Ian can look after himself, and I think I shall know more about the entrance to the tomb tonight. I've met somebody that knows how the temple was built. An Aztec lady.
You're an old rogue.
Yes, but really it's up to you, Barbara.
Oh, I won't kill you this time. Not this time, Ixter.
You mock the arts of war. I defy you to harm me.
Pick up your club.
He's a Vulcan.
Don't worry, you'll be all right.
This came first, so.
A false goddess and her servants could conspire against us. This is a danger we are not prepared to face.
Then tell my servants that they may not enter here.
They shall be told.
He's so oily.
Well,
Though it's my belief I know one who does.
Name him?
The old servant of your taxa.
He is of no use to me.
But you can be of service to him. He seeks an interview with you.
To what end?
He is interested in your father's work.
Does he know my name?
Plot twist.
No.
well,
Unless you're meeting your future husband for the first time, then you keep your eyes downcast.
Well, how will I know?
Know what?
Well, that he's to be my future husband.
You'll be told.
Told? I'm not going to be told who to marry.
What say have you in the matter?
Well, it's my life. I'll spend it with whom I choose, not someone picked out for me.
Do these people not listen? Fights like a math teacher.
well.
Does fatigue affect...
We will fight here as the sun sets.
All right.
You are confident of victory?
If you wish it, he shall die.
You know, I can still hear you. Not their greatest fight.
Seems odd that they would do it indoors, but
Yeah. They also have like the wrestling pad on the floor too.
punching.
Yeah. You've had 8 opportunities to hit his neck.
If you are your taxa, save him.
Now the real warrior stepping in.
Wow, definitely fast-paced.
Yeah.
The plot holds together. The fight choreography, you can't expect much more than that. But
Yeah. I mean, they spent all their budget on those hats, so. I mean, it's not bad. It's just it's all right. There was 8 opportunities for Ian to hit his neck like he did, so I don't know why he didn't. Is pretty easy actually.
then you wouldn't have the rest of the story.
I guess you got to fill the rest of the episode before we move on. So,
All right. No, but I'm truly enjoying it. This is one of the better episodes, one of the better serials.
yeah.
This is what, the 6th one now?
Yep, this is episode 6.
Yeah, this is so far. I mean, I wish we could have seen Marco Polo, other than just with the telesnaps. But yeah, this is probably my favorite so far.
Yeah. It's also interesting with Susan learning of all the customs, and then immediately, as soon as arranged marriage is brought up, she's putting it down. It's like, you know that this is a thing. And look, I get it. You were against it in Marco Polo, and it worked out because Ping Cho's husband just happened to die off screen. But come on,
Yeah.
the doctor seems to be the only one that's like, oh, we gotta work with what we got here,
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, part 3.
Part 3.
Was it Bride or was it Bridge?
I thought it was Bride.
I thought it was Bridge. That's a very distinct difference. We should find out. Well, I guess so. Could have sworn there was a G. Oh well. But that makes less sense. You sacrifice on a bridge.
No, you're sacrificing a woman.
Oh.
Save him.
My servant dies, so does Cletoxworth.
The contest is ended.
Man, she just so smoothly went into that, too.
I have need of the drawings.
The ones I promised to the old man? None exist. The secret of the tomb died with my father.
Why did he not set it down?
He thought to, but disappeared before it could be done.
Oh, that's why the doctor prepared the thorn for you.
Yes, and now the old man waits in vain for the drawings. Stealth and cunning, Ian.
Wow, he just screwed over everyone.
He is a gentle companion, and most dear to me.
Then prepare these beans as a love potion.
That would be too bold. Rather, he should show his love for me.
You wish him to prepare it?
Yes.
Good fortune.
Yes, the Aztecs invented chocolate.
Now, give me some beans and I'll prepare them.
You insist upon this?
Do I insist? Absolutely. As a token of my esteem.
Gods of smiling favor through your eyes. May it always be so. My dear doctor, I accept with all my heart.
Wait here, my dear. I'll be back.
You have declared your love for me, and I acknowledge and accept your gentle proposal.
What progress throughout?
For this you will be most severely punished.
But Cornelia,
She has broken the law. Must be reported to the Toxel.
whatever's in my power, I shall do.
You're monsters. All of you monsters.
Could have handled that better. I mean, I get where she's going, but
We must have a garden of our own.
Yes, why not? A garden of our own.
see, he knows how to play the part. The three of them don't.
And on the wall there's a stone with the Ataxa's sign on it.
You mean there's a tunnel from there to the tomb?
Yes, that's what I suspect.
Where did you get hold of this?
My fiancée.
I see. Oh, what?
Yes, I made some cocoa and got engaged. Oh, don't giggle, my boy. It's neither here nor there.
Oh, by the way, Doctor, congratulations.
I must replace the stone before the tunnel fills with water.
That will be interesting.
I mean, Ian could probably kick it in. Alrighty. There's only one more episode. Isn't that odd? Isn't that odd how we only have one more episode?
But very well written. There's seriously not a tiny bit of padding in this one.
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes to show you that if they had had a little more time, not having to rush the scripts every week, that you get a series like this where it's just literally one thing right after the other, and it's very, very well done.
Yeah.
Irrigation system. I'm not sure that the Aztecs had that, but they probably did. I mean, they were relatively advanced. Being up there in the mountains, they would have had access to water.
Yeah. Well, you made it in. And that light is not syncing up with where you're actually pointing the flashlight.
Geometry does come in handy. And he's going to leave a little strap of it so that he can reach down and pick it up.
I don't believe you.
The old man saw him die. He knows it to be true. Now, 7 warriors have challenged my right to command, and only I survive.
Good commanders don't jump to conclusions, Ixta.
Ian! I knew he was lying. He said you
How
were
easy
dead.
was that?
It nearly was. Come on, let's get going.
Where are we going?
The TARDIS. Come on.
So, did every other guard just retire at that moment?
Yes.
Or did we miss an incredible off-screen fight?
Oh, I just want to get out of here.
Ian was helping the handmaiden to escape. He struck you down from behind.
How do you know he was hit from behind?
That club belongs to Ian. Take them away.
You are the servants of a false goddess.
It does suck for Ian that he's being put on trial again, basically.
We shall have one more meeting, Ian.
Yes. A final one.
I like the way he says Eon. Kind of like Quark used to say humans.
When will he return?
Never.
That guy should play Richard III.
That was a very brave thing for you to do, Kameka. But you can't stay here.
I'd hoped I might stay by your side. And think of me. Think of me.
Nice work, Bill. We assume that's Ian.
Go down, readers are to be
I
paid.
assume, because do you think they have more of one of those masks?
Ooh, nice set.
Final battle. That was alright.
I gave him false hope. And in the end, he lost his faith.
He found another faith. A better. And that's the good you've done. You failed to save a civilization, but at least you helped one man.
What's the matter, Doctor?
We have a bit of a mystery, my boy.
What sort of mystery?
My instruments.
Yes, according to these controls here, we've stopped.
Yes, and those instruments say that we're still moving.
Perhaps we've landed on top of something.
Yes.
Or inside something.
Hmm?
Alrighty then. We're going back to space next time. Alrighty. That's the Aztecs.
Well done. Absolutely well done. Again, my favorite so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably say, considering we didn't see Marco Polo, then yeah. And it was shorter, for one.
But again, kudos to, was it John Lucarati?
Yeah.
Well done script. Again, I mean, we mentioned this, I think, with Marco Polo. The fact that there was some humor in this. I mean, despite the fact that, you got sacrifices and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
The fact that what was her name? Tamika? Or
Kamika.
Yeah, that she starts this relationship with the doctor and gives him the beans and that the cocoa beans, and that's a proposal of marriage, that sort of thing. That's what keeps this stuff interesting. That's the reason I really love this stuff.
Yeah,
and there's not a lot of it in some of the earlier stuff. So I love this. Great one.
Yeah, and it is interesting that technically they didn't win in the end. They just escaped, and Latoxel, all these Aztec names. Latoxel was the one technically that won in the end. So,
but that's exactly what happened. They kept up that sacrifice right up to the 1520s when Cortez and the conquistadors arrived. And again, fell victim to their own religion because the legend said that the great god Quetzalcoatl, when he disappeared, said, "I will return, and you will know me because I will come from the east, and I will, instead of looking like the people here, I will have fair skin, and I will be dark-haired." And so Cortez arrives and he takes off his helmet, and he's a fair-skinned European, and they did not know whether or not he was the god or not, which is kind of like here. But by the time they realized he wasn't a god, it was too late. So basically this was a template for what was about to happen to them. Again, I can't tell this is 1400s, maybe 1300s, but within 100, 200 years, they would all be gone because they put their faith in this religion which was too easily manipulated.
Yeah, and it is interesting, and I like, because this also has to deal with the rules of time travel too, which we honestly haven't gotten into yet, and mainly that's because we haven't had too many historical. I guess this is our third episode of history, because we had the cavemen, and then we had the Daleks and the Edge of Destruction, then Marco Polo, then Marinus, then now number 6 we're on to the Aztecs. So only now do we just like, all right, time travel. This is a time travel show. Let's talk about changing history. So
well, there's not much that they really could have changed with the cavemen. I mean, they helped them, I guess, rediscover how to make fire.
Yeah.
And then in Marco Polo, again, not much they could have changed there because they were going along with him simply because once they got to Peking, then they were hoping to get the TARDIS back, so they couldn't alter any of that. Yeah, this is the first time they've had the opportunity to look at a piece of Earth's past that was really horrific, and then Barbara says, I couldn't save the civilization, and he says, hey, you at least saved this one man.
Yeah.
So great lesson there.
Yeah,
very well done.
And it's also interesting that it's another episode where it's like, okay, we have to get rid of the TARDIS somehow. Like, we got to be trapped for 4 to 6 or 7 episodes, and so this last time it was like, okay, well, Marco has the TARDIS captured, and you can't do anything. This time it's, we locked it in the tomb, which, I mean, I guess last time in Marinus it wasn't necessarily that. Well, no, they did, because there was the force field around the TARDIS that they couldn't get past. So there's always some way to get rid of the TARDIS. So
well, without it, again, they just hop back in and get out. So
yeah. Now it's also interesting with I've had some people explain in the comments that they're not choosing where they're going because the navigation is really faulty. Otherwise, the Doctor could potentially just take them back to the junkyard where they started.
Yeah.
So they just happen to be going everywhere. It is kind of interesting that it's not just, they're just hopping around until hopefully they get back to London. No, they're just hopping around. They've all sort of accepted it at this point, and now they're just stopping off wherever. So, and I guess to start going into the notes, I'm sure all of these names are misspelled.
Well, we've got them right here. We got Ortlock.
Yeah,
I thought that was Ortlock.
I did too. All right, there's a mystery T in Latoxel, apparently. I wasn't too far off on that.
That's again very similar to the Aztec language. There was a wonderful marketplace, and I can't remember the name, but it's like TLOT. So yeah, these are all very common sorts of Aztec names, even though they're made up. They were following whatever guidelines they had from the actual Aztec people.
Right. And Ixta.
Ixta.
Yeah, instead of Ixter, which is what I wrote.
About Ixtar. Yeah, I thought it was Ixtar. Which sounded kind of, Mesopotamian, but yeah, Ixta. Yeah. We have to take into account the accent there.
Right, and then
Kamika,
yeah. I put K instead of C, but close enough. And that's pretty much
Tanila.
Yeah.
Perfect victim.
That's all the name he gets. So
well, that's all they ever called him. Yeah.
Yeah. It is definitely like the dynamic between Otlok and where is it again? Latoxel, that's it. The dynamic between them is very similar to Marco and Tegana.
Yes. Yeah.
But with Otlok being more on our side than Marco was. Marco was really just in it for himself, and he's going back and forth, and sometimes he trusts Tegana, sometimes he doesn't. Whereas Otlok really just did not ever go with Latoxel on anything.
Yeah.
So
until right there at the end when he was attacked, or at least thought he had been attacked by Ian.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really good writing. You've got a protagonist and an antagonist, and then you're dropping the Doctor and his companions into the middle of that, and they have to figure out their relationship to everybody. So again, I've said it before, very well written, beautiful costumes and sets, and again, although they're not 100% accurate, they are way more representative than pretty much anything we've seen other than Marco Polo. And as I even mentioned, the incidental music. Whoever wrote the music for this one, very well done. It was suspenseful when it needed to be. It was somewhat, amusing or comical when it needed to be. So just all around 100%.
Yeah. I did like Barbara immediately taking on the role of Yetaxa. That was pretty interesting. It gave her a bit more to do in this one too.
Yeah.
And then Ian became the warrior. And just that entire first part where they're just telling him all these things he needs to do as the warrior, just his face, he's just okay then. I guess I'm doing this episode.
No, I think the part of that is though he's beginning to understand that's kind of his role now.
Yeah,
and he has to put up that face to the warrior, to Ixta, because he understands, having done this 2 or 3 times already now, that he can't show any kind of fear or any kind of emotion. He's just got to, stone face it and say, take your best shot, punk.
Yeah, and of all of them, other than the Doctor, he was a bit more able to get into the role, really, and not cause too many problems. I suppose you could say, well, maybe he caused some problems with Ixta, but not really, because he was just playing the role of his rival. Yeah. And whereas Barbara was, going in trying to get all these traditions, wiped away, and Susan not having anything to do with marriage. So he just went in there. It's like, all right, I gotta do this. This sucks, but I gotta do this. Is what I do.
A minor thing. It might have been interesting if, when Susan was learning the traditions, the customs, and everything, if she had questioned them. We know from the very first episode that she was reading that book on the French Revolution. You wonder how much she had been taught about the Aztecs. After all, how long had they been on Earth? How much had she studied? But she could have engaged with them. That might have been an interesting little scene where, until she finally gets to, now wait a minute, you're going to force somebody to be married? Didn't we already? Well, the Ping Cho thing.
Yeah.
I actually happen to know that, for example, in another part of the world, this doesn't happen. Anyway, it's just a fun little bit that they could have done, but it didn't really have much time. You wouldn't want to expand this out to 5 episodes because 4 was just perfect.
Yeah, I suppose so. Let's see. Rules of time travel, which was pretty cool. It really makes you stop and think oh yeah, we're time traveling. you kind of forget that, because every other episode we're also on a different planet and everything. It's like, no, this is time travel, and this is really time travel. We have to really think about these rules and everything. We're not just going back in time and seeing this. Like, we can affect things here, but we probably shouldn't. So, Ixta was an interesting character, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Because it's like, sometimes he's with Latoxel, sometimes he's not. He's really, there was that one time he played everyone and just got what he wanted, because like he played the Doctor so that he could get the Thorn, and then he played Ian by using the Thorn, and then Latoxel is like, well, give me the drawings instead, and he's like, I didn't have drawings. This was all an elaborate trick. I fooled you all. So he was a very interesting, like, I guess the third entity, within the Aztec story, after Latoxel and Otlok. So, but then I guess in the end he was just sort of following orders, But I guess it was just everything he wanted to do was just to beat Ian and become the general, basically.
Yeah.
So
it's all about power in that society.
Yeah. Let's see. Kamika was a interesting character too. I mean, first just the fact that it's like, okay, well, let's make sure all the servants are where they should be. The handmaiden will stay with Yetaxa, and Ian's gonna go train to be a soldier. The Doctor, put him to the retirement community. So,
and now she's obviously not married to the guy who designed the temple, because then Ixta would have been her son. So
yeah, I think she said she was supposed to be married, I think. So
he must have been widowed, and then she was going to marry him, and then he disappeared, and then she's supposed to marry the Doctor, and then he disappears.
Which I was thinking, it's like, all right, if the Doctor gets married, I'm going to have to add this to the list. He's got like 10 wives at this point. So, because he's got it. I'm trying to think, how many wives does the Doctor have at this point? I guess there's really... I think in modern Doctor Who, he has 3. We know Queen Elizabeth, the 10th Doctor, married him. I'm trying to think if there was something... I feel like the 10th Doctor married someone else, too. And the 11th Doctor got married when time exploded and everything. So... And then... I always count... Well, the Doctor had a wife on Gallifrey, right? Before he was the Doctor and everything. And it's always weird because when I mention that, everyone will contest me about that. And it's like, what? Why would he not? I don't know. It's a whole thing.
Well,
but
he could have conceivably had a child without the benefit of marriage. But, the fact that he's got Susan means that at some point he procreated.
Somehow. But then that opens up a whole can of worms about... I don't know. There's something about a loom or something to create Time Lords. I don't know. They get really confusing later on. I mean, right now, he's still not even a Time Lord at this point, so he's just the Doctor, And it's like, I was thinking when it's like, oh, well, be careful, we'll cut your heart out too. And it's like, it would have been really funny if he said, well, you'll have to cut out both. So,
or, which one?
Yeah,
take your pick.
I can survive on one, but he doesn't like surviving on one, though. Let's see. But yeah, that whole thing, and then just like the fact that Kamika, they talked about everything with the love potion and making. It's like, well, then he should make it for me, and then that just happens exactly the way she said it, and it's almost like she didn't even need to do anything. It just so happened that he happens to be nice. It's like, no, I'll make it. Don't worry about it. And then he makes it, and it's like, oh, well, now you have shown your love for me, and we are to be engaged. And he's like, oh, crap.
But I think that's cool, though, that that he does understand how to make cocoa, that you grind up the beans and the whole work there.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know how many average student types would know this, but for hundreds of years, the only way that chocolate could be consumed was as a drink. Even after they took it back to Europe, it was, I want to say, early 1800s before somebody figured out how to make a solid out of it. And again, you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think the Swiss were the first ones to understand how to basically put in it. I think they call it an emulsifier, where it becomes, the solid that we know now. But even then, it was very dark and very bitter, kind of like the dark cocoa that Mom likes. And then they ultimately began adding, sugar and other sweeteners and milk and things like that to the chocolate we have today. By the way, Cadbury's chocolate, still my favorite. That's a brand that they sell in England. I've seen it here a couple of times in the United States, but it is rare that we do Cadbury eggs, but Cadbury eggs not the same as a solid Cadbury milk chocolate bar.
Okay, I was going to say, because I've never had the infamous Cadbury cream egg, but anytime I hear it, it is mentioned as one of the most vile things on the earth. So.
Well, again, it's a milk chocolate shell, and inside it's this, again, kind of very gooey, sweet, almost liquidy kind of stuff, but there's a yellow spot in it to make it look like the interior of an egg. So it looks disgusting. Actually, it's a little too sweet for my taste. But again, I would, crack it open and drain the insides out and just eat the Cadbury chocolate egg on the outside, but that's just me.
This talk is just in time for Easter.
Why, yes,
which
it is.
It's after Easter by the time anyone's watching this.
Yes,
but
yes.
But no, it is just before Easter when we are recording this. So why don't you go on out and get yourself a Cadbury cream egg? I mean, don't try to stay home though. Still, we are still in lockdown, but still,
yeah. All right, what else we got?
I did write down Susan's defiance over being forced into marriage. I mean, you understand where she's coming from, and it's like, oh well, she's really strong-willed about this and everything, but it's like, after everything that happened, like with Ping Cho, it's like, you gotta just you gotta play the part, at least for a while, because the doctor was definitely playing the part, and he was encouraging everyone to play the part, which gave him all that frustration about Barbara and the sacrifices. And then Ian did slip into his role pretty well, but Susan, she's just...
Susan should have known better.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like Susan to get a little better in these episodes. Like, just something. Like you said, like, okay, maybe talk to them about these traditions and everything. It's like, we don't get a lot from Susan in these episodes, so...
And again, I don't remember her changing much as we get down the line, in the first 3 years here. So, again, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. I wrote down the eclipse. That was pretty cool that it's all centered. This whole, ritual is centered on the eclipse, which is pretty cool. Although they also said the eclipse is at noon. It's like, well, that is perfect timing, So, I mean, the last eclipse we had, I don't know.
2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago, right about now.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it was my first year down at Moore.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, 2 years ago. I mean, that was afternoon, I think.
Yeah, it was probably 2 o'clock here in the Great Plains area, Central Standard Time.
Yeah. I was actually working
Central
then.
Daylight Time,
Yeah. I actually had a job and not this.
Yeah.
Whatever I passed this off as. So, and I do know that the next eclipse in North America is in 2024. And I don't think it's going to be like the exact same path. I think it's going a bit more east.
The path of totality is slightly south and east of us.
Yeah.
But we'll probably get, 90% of it.
Yeah.
Here in Oklahoma.
And I specifically looked that up because I was one of the ones that didn't have any glasses last time around, and I was so mad. All I got to do was sit, eat my lunch, and watch the sky get slightly darker. So,
yeah.
I'm going to catch the next one. 4 years. I will be there. Maybe I'll make a video on it, too. Why not? Anyway.
Now, again, though, talk about good writing. It is very well known that eclipses played a huge part in ancient history. And again, the priests and so forth, the astrologers who knew how to predict it, were the ones who could then use it to help control the people. So using it for the Aztec sacrifice and to show that Barbara was not a true god, she was a false goddess.
Yeah.
Again, plays right into the history of this time period.
Right. Well, and it also reminds me of, we watched Prince of Egypt last night, and the lengths that the two priests go to prove to Ramses that, well, Ra can do all this too. It does sort of remind me about that. It's like, well, they got to present Barbara exactly 1 second before it starts raining, just so it shows, well, Barbara made it rain. And it is sort of the same thing, where they get the berries or whatever to put into the bowl, so Ramses sees like, oh, well, we can make blood too, or the entire light show that they do in order to get the snakes there too. So yeah, that is interesting, just that timing and the I guess the showmanship you need in order to really sell it is all pretty cool. I wrote down Ian versus Ixta at the end there, that last fight, which I would have to assume that because they had the masks on for that fight, that had to have been the stuntman.
Yeah, I don't suspect that was actually Chesterton, whatever the actor, William Russell.
Yeah.
But well staged. I mean, about as good as you could expect.
Yeah, it's probably Ian's best fight we've had so far.
Yeah.
And at least we got to see it, unlike, Marco versus Tagana. We didn't get to see that one. So,
and again, using his little, judo or jujitsu move there at the end to, as Ixta came up to him, put his foot in his stomach and throw him over the stairs. That, very well done. Nicely done.
Yeah. And then I guess the last thing I wrote down was just the fact that they did technically fail. It's not like, well, we defeated Tagana and we, hauled butt out of here.
But theoretically speaking, the Marco Polo thing technically failed because, according to the storyline, Tagana would assassinate the Khan, and then the whole Mongol empire would take over from China. Yeah. So by foiling that plot, they actually kept history exactly the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah, that's true.
It's kind of a reverse fail. Not exactly a win, but they weren't aware until the very last episode that that's what was going to happen.
Right. Whereas here, it's like, well, I mean, I do like the Doctor saying, it's like, well, you couldn't save the whole civilization, but you did save the one man. It's at least something. But...
Yeah. Remember, I told you that story, the starfish on the beach and the guy sitting there, throwing them back. And the friend says, there's 1 million starfish here on the beach. You can't save them all. He goes, no, but I can save that one. So, yes, so they saved the old man, let him go off into the wilderness and try to discover something beyond, sacrifice and blood and things like that. So, again, just overall, very well done. My favorite so far, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got on this episode. So, let's see. Next week...
Something about space.
Something about space, indeed. We are, again, splitting up into 2 videos for the next serial.
The Censorites.
Yep.
Oh, but look after that, Reign of Terror. I wonder... Yeah, that's got to be French Revolution, because notice it says there that part missing and part animated. If I recall correctly, that is the one on the French Revolution.
Well, all right then.
All right.
That book that Susan was reading will finally come back into play. I do hope they reference that she was reading that. Oh, yeah. I don't know. But anyway.
Now, how far down... I guess the Crusades is not till the 2nd season.
Right. That will be season 2. We will start a bit of season 2. I mean, yeah, we're looking at this schedule in line with where I am in modern Doctor Who. Yeah. So we will actually start season 2 before I finish series 8 of Doctor Who. But yeah. So yeah. Next week, we're back to space.
Oh boy.
For another 6-parter. So, yeah. That is pretty much that. We will see you guys then. With all that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of our Doctor Who classic reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.